gave an interview the other day in which you implied that it would be justified for Israel to cut off Gaza's power and water supply. Is that what you meant?
Well, I welcome this question because I know that LBC clip has been widely shared and caused real concern and distress in some Muslim communities. So let me be clear about what I was saying and what I wasn't saying. I was saying Israel had the right to self-defense, and when I said that right, it was that right to self-defense. I was not saying that Israel had the right to cut off water, food, fuel or medicines. I'm very clear. Israel must have that, does have that right to defend herself, and Hamas bears responsibility.
A siege is appropriate? Cutting off power, cutting off water?
Well, I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing...
Starmer is clearly concealing something significant. His recent appearance at PMQS, it's an undeniable disgrace. We have shocking evidence of his troubling past that will leave you outraged. Let's discuss his recent speech at PMQS. It was an absolute disaster, and I'm not exaggerating. Picture this. You show up to an interview with your shirt on backwards. That's exactly how Starmer appeared in the House of Commons. He faced off against Kemi Badenoch, and it was painful to watch. Starmer attempted to evade questions about the grooming team investigation, but Badenoch wasn't having it. She forcefully pointed out that the victims are demanding answers and deserve justice. Starmer appeared utterly bewildered, as if he couldn't grasp why it was crucial for people to learn more about these horrific crimes. This raises serious questions. Why is he so adamantly opposing the investigation? Wouldn't you expect an opposition leader to champion transparency? But no, we saw him get tangled in his feeble arguments, and it was downright embarrassing. Even Elon Musk, yes, the billionaire, felt compelled to step in and criticize his performance. When such figures start highlighting your political blunders, it's a clear indication that you've seriously messed up. Ultimately, Starmer faced a total defeat. He looked lost and, frankly, pitiful.
I'm 100% behind Jeremy Corbyn.
You are now.
I am working with Jeremy Corbyn to try to win the next general election. And don't trash the last 4 years, because what Jeremy Corbyn brought to this party, he made us an anti-austerity party that stood against cuts.
You're loyal to Jeremy Corbyn, and you've spoken in his defence just now. But Louise Ellman says that he is a danger not just to the Labour Party, but to the entire British Jewish community.
I don't accept that. I don't accept that.
But that's the crux of the matter. While all these horrific events were unfolding, numerous cases were either inadequately investigated or simply never brought to court. What did Starmer actually know about these cases? What actions did he take? From our perspective, it appears he did absolutely nothing. Was he complicit in a system that failed these unfortunate victims? Some claim that Starmer was fully aware of what was happening and chose to ignore it to safeguard his own career. A person who is meant to advocate for justice is potentially overlooking the suffering of the most vulnerable individuals in our society. This is utterly outrageous and intolerable. There are whispers of a culture of fear surrounding the reporting of these gang activities. Those tasked with protecting these children prioritize their own reputations over the lives of innocent victims.
If you're fed up, then this is what you need to do. Sign the petition, call a general election. The signatures are going up and up by the second. We've got support across the country. This morning, we were at 1,000 signatures. Now we're already up past 140,000. So go on, get online and sign the petition. Let's get a general election and get this corrupt Labour government out.
Reports and recommendations have been created to tackle these issues. The findings highlighted significant systemic failures. So what did Starmer do with these recommendations? Apparently, not much at all. Critics argued that his lack of action has only exacerbated the plight of the victims. Imagine being one of those unfortunate children, desperately hoping for help, yet remaining invisible. Now, Starmer is opposing a new investigation into the activities of the gangs, claiming that the victims want immediate action rather than more inquiries. However, he himself acknowledged that there are differing opinions among the survivors regarding the necessity of an investigation. Some survivors genuinely want the investigation to proceed, but Starmer chose to disregard their voices. Isn't that just fantastic? The deeper we dig into his tenure as Attorney General, the more suspicious everything appears. Serious systemic failures occurred right under his watch, and it seems he simply turned a blind eye. This doesn't reflect well on someone who is supposed to advocate for justice, does it? A full-blown conspiracy theory is starting to take shape. Some allege that Starmer may have been actively involved in covering up the grooming gang case.
Just getting back to this defence budget, Starmer knew he wasn't going to put that up. I don't care what anyone says. He will have predicted, he'll have enough experts whispering in his ear and saying this is the situation. He more than implied that, the defence departments were going to get a fair share of money. They were going to be up in the ante. There was going to be new investment with them, bearing in mind the decline they've been in for the last 12 years or so, and it ain't going to happen. And you know what? He knew it wasn't going to happen. That almost verges on lies.
Now we can clearly see what lies at the heart of this entire situation. We're dealing with a man who appears to prioritize his reputation over delivering justice for the victims. He opts to engage in political maneuvering rather than courageously addressing important and challenging questions. It seems he has forgotten that he is no longer in a courtroom. Instead of demonstrating true leadership, he has chosen the path of hypocrisy, acting like a lawyer. It's no surprise that people are losing faith in him. How can anyone trust someone to lead the country if they can't even handle tough questioning in Parliament? This is truly disheartening and profoundly disappointing. Starmer's speech unveiled his true character, and I certainly wouldn't want someone like him in charge of the country. The fiasco involving Starmer's personal staff has unearthed a trove of secrets about his past, and what's coming to light is far from reassuring. During his tenure as Attorney General from 2008 to 2013, there are numerous dark secrets that might explain his reluctance to confront tough questions about gangsters. For those who may not know, the Crown Prosecution Service is responsible for criminal prosecutions in England and Wales. As the head of the CPS, Starmer was in charge when the truly shocking revelations about the grooming gangs began to emerge.
We have just discovered that Keir Starmer knowingly promoted to the cabinet somebody who had been convicted of lying to the police, of obtaining goods by deception, fraud. And if you want to know why he put a fraudster in the cabinet, it is because the whole government is essentially fraudulent and misrepresented to the electorate in July 2024 what they were going to do on tax, on the economy, on Brexit, on Britain's relations with other countries. And if you want to find out more, read my column in the Daily Mail.
Former CPS employees have suggested that serious machinations were occurring within the organization during Starmer's leadership. They describe a climate of fear where staff felt pressured to steer clear of situations that could be seen as racially or culturally sensitive. It appears they were more focused on maintaining their image than on fulfilling their responsibilities. Starmer's decisions consistently lean towards rejecting prosecution. He will likely argue that he was merely adhering to established procedures, but that is hardly a valid excuse. When case after case is swept under the rug, it raises significant doubts about what is truly happening. Now, Starmer is opposing a nationwide investigation into grooming gangs, claiming that victims want immediate action. However, he just acknowledged that there are differing opinions among survivors regarding the necessity of an investigation. Some survivors genuinely want the investigation to proceed. But isn't that remarkable? His arguments against a nationwide investigation appear completely irrelevant. People are beginning to suggest that he seems more interested in protecting powerful individuals and institutions than in assisting victims.
I was forwarded this clip by one of my viewers. Let's go through it together.
If you had loved ones on a long waiting list for surgery, would you, if you felt that that was the only way forward, use private healthcare? Rishi Sunak?
Yes.
Keir Starmer?
No.
Absolutely no if your loved one was on a waiting list for surgery?
No.
Thank you very much.
I don't use private health.
Okay.
I use the NHS. That's where my wife works, in one of the big hospitals. As I say, it runs through my DNA.
Okay, thank you.
What would be the point of having money if you cannot look after your loved ones when they're in need of help? Private healthcare in the UK has become a priority. What Keir is actually implying is that he would watch his loved ones suffer whilst he has the money in his bank account. At least Rishi Sunak on this occasion was honest with his answer. What do you think of these statements? What do you think of the integrity of both political parties?
Why? Critics argue that he prioritized political correctness over justice for the victims. Can you believe it? The person responsible for prosecuting criminals was apparently too intimidated to confront sensitive cultural issues. But that's not all. There are whispers that Starmer may have been shielding powerful individuals involved in these scandals. We're talking about potential directives from higher-ups to keep everything under wraps. Let's discuss how these gangs operate. They prey on vulnerable young people, often those in foster care or from disadvantaged backgrounds. They lure them in with gifts, attention, and sometimes alcohol, only to exploit them afterward. These are truly horrific acts. Yasvinda Sankera, a prominent activist, is vocal in her opposition to this injustice. She states, "Let's be clear, it's still happening. This has never been acceptable." Just imagine how distressing it must be for her and other victims to witness Starmer dismissing this issue. This is utterly unacceptable. Share your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.